So, Dad, sometimes with the years you get you see things a lot more clearly as they play out than they occurred to be at the time. I know that in business you've had some of that experience, right?
Yes, I had. I had to sell out, and then I got fired from the same company. But I've been in business when I came here to St. George in 1950. And this was around 1970. And we had a good relationship in business, we thought. But we got kind of competing with Rocky Mountain in our bread business. Well, we had everything. We sold a lot of stuff, more than bread. And but I thought Rocky Mountain was kind of encroaching on our area, that we should have just respected each other and sold us different products. But they started buying from one of our suppliers even, and selling cheaper than us on items. And it developed as we went along to finally decided Bruce Stuckey, the owner and manager of Rocky Mountain, decided he'd buy us out, get us out of the way. And it was around 1970, 1970. And things had been, we built, we're working on this, building this new warehouse. We were mortgaged up to our hill, over our heads, in fact. But we hadn't been called in on it yet or anything. We were still working, but Rocky approached us with buying us out to get us out of the way. And we worked out a deal. I was having trouble with my partners anyway. We were at each other, not getting along too well. And not getting along at all, in fact. So we worked out a deal, and I thought it was real good because we got out of the big debt we had. We cleared that off entirely, paid for the warehouse, and we got paid for it.
Right, right.
Filling, and that went all right, and Bruce wasn't going to. I had to lay off for a while. I didn't have a job, but then I convinced him that he was having trouble out there in the warehouse, and things weren't going very good, and he was nice enough to hire me back to kind of run the warehouse. And, well, I shouldn't say he wasn't nice enough, but it wasn't to be nice. He bought it. It was to get rid of us as competitors.
Right.
And I worked for 10 years there with him, under him. I figure I did a pretty good job. And then after 10 years, in fact it was 1984, I could see it coming. He called me in and fired me because he figured he didn't need what I was contributing. And at the time I was just recovering from surgery. I was been in a body cast, and I'd had hip surgery and had it down. But anyway, after he fired me, I was off work. I signed up for Social Security and unemployment. Figured I was through for his lifetime.
Done working, huh?
And then I just decided I ought to admit our competitor from Salt Lake, the competing bread company to Wonder Bread.
Mm-hmm.
Was kind of doing a job down in St. George and getting a lot of business, and they weren't taking care of the stores at all like they should have done. And
you could just see that, huh?
yeah, so I went and checked all the stores and made notes and everything, and went to Salt Lake. I was on crutches. I went to Salt Lake and went out to Metz, and they kind of knew me, of course, because we'd been competing. But I applied for work with them, told them what I could do and what they needed. And they acted okay and didn't say anything, but about a month or so later, on the 4th of July, or on the holiday for the 4th, they called me up and said their man that they had doing things down here was quit or got fired. He got drunk, and then I guess. And the one that was supposed to be taking care of the stores, he got drunk, and so they had a vacancy there. So I went to work for $6 an hour doing pull-ups.
Doing pull-ups, huh?
And I was on crutches. I had one crutch. I'd use one crutch and go to the stores and do the pull-ups. But they didn't hire me or anything. They just said okay, but I'd talk to them. But then, of course, they called me back and put me on, and so that's when I started working for them. And it gradually worked up to where I was doing quite a lot of work for $10 or $12 an hour. Then I even got to I loaded the trucks. At night, I'd go out in the middle of the night and load trucks for them. And that worked out good. It was good exercise and something I could handle real good. But I hadn't been at that very long until I broke a leg.
That's right, at a football game, huh? Your leg fell off.
That's another story. And anyway, it always worked out real good. I kept getting more and more hours, more things to do. And
Right.
I was working up to 40 hours a week, and
You enjoyed the work?
I enjoyed the work. Nobody, at night, nobody bothered me. I was just on my own.
Right.
I'd go out at 6 o'clock or so and do some preliminary work, and then go out when the truck called me. And so I'd load the route trucks. And that went on for, well, 14 years I worked for them. And along about the 10th year or so, I got word from Mets that I was on their retirement program. As a Teamsters, what it was, they were a Teamsters outfit.
Right.
But they said they were on their retirement program, and you don't need to contribute. I'd been on it.
Right.
And so I earned quite a bit of money, but still being paid. I was still getting benefits from that sale.
Right, right.
And but when Bruce fired me, well, I thought the end of the world had come. Of course, when I had to sell out to a coup, I felt I was only 50 years old. And
Right.
had a lot of life left in me, but I felt pretty bad about it. And then getting fired was, I felt the end of the line. But Bruce, in both cases, he helped me out of the one when I reached a kind of an end, unsatisfactory position in financing and all those in relationship with my partners.
Right.
And then him hiring me helped out. He waited a month or two to hire me before he decided he needed somebody
To run the warehouse, huh?
to run the warehouse. So when he bought me, that was a benefit. It was a good break, good timing on it when he bought us out.
Right.
Then it was good timing again when he fired me, because that's when I went and got the job with Mets.
Isn't that funny how what seemed to be such an absolute abrupt challenge all of a sudden years later works out to be one of the best things that ever happened, huh?
Yeah, even while I broke that leg, well, that Mets kept me on. The truck driver, the guy that brought the transport from Salt Lake, did my loading for me for long enough for me to get back on the...
To get healed and back on, yep. Well, and that retirement's taking care of you now, isn't it?
That's helping, yeah.
Yep, every little bit helps.
Yeah, he goes on as long as I live. So what seemed to be a disaster, and well, he helped me more than you can imagine.
Almost more than you could help yourself at the time, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting the way that played out. I know that I learned a lot of lessons from that for sure.
So now he's out of business, and I'm out of retirement, of course, or retired, and he's mainly responsible for me making decisions or getting into situations that made a difference.
Well, that's quite a story as the years pile up, isn't it?
Yeah.